Hello, so this is a video as to how to learn the four impromptus of Schubert. I think these are suitable for amateur pianists, or not pianists, piano players, amateur people who play piano. And they're a really great set to learn because of their differing natures and yeah, they're not too difficult to play. However, there is a strategy to learn them, so I'll share with you that strategy. Let me just check that this camera's working. Yeah, so the strategy is number one is according to my piano teacher of some time ago now, but she's from the Beethoven and Tchaikovsky lineage. But she's an excellent teacher and everything. She knows everything. What she says is that number one, that one in C minor, is by far the most difficult of the four. And so, with that in mind, I would go about it the following way. As you learn the other three, learn parts of number one. So just chop up number one into, was it 3 parts? So that, no, 5 parts I think. So you start with number 3, it's the easiest. I mean, it's maybe the most difficult actually to get perfectly right with the voicing, but actually, you know, unless you're a professional pianist, you're not gonna worry about that. So for everyone else, that number 3, and that's the easiest one. Start with number 3, move on to number 4. I would say, or number 2. I haven't learned number 2 yet, so I'm learning. But I would say number 4 is quite doable, really. Although it's quite a challenging. It's challenging to get quite right and all that. But move on to number 4 or number 2 if you want, and then if you're doing number 4, number 2, or if you're doing number 2 second, then do number 4, and then you finish off number 1. So starting with number 3, while you're doing number 3, start on the first bit of number 1. So that by the time you've reached the end of number 3, you will have already done the first part of number 1. So is that the first, whatever, quarter is it, of number 1? And then you go on to number, I would say 4. It could be number 2 if you want. Next, and while you're doing that one, number 4, you do the next part of number 1. Okay, so you've now got to the halfway point of number 1. Then you're on to your third impromptu, whatever that is. Number 2 is what I would recommend. It could be number 4 if you did number 2 as your second one. And while you do that, you do the sort of next part. So onto the third of 4 parts, I suppose, of the first impromptu. Okay. Then when you finish that number 2, you then have just one more part to go, which would be the number 1, of course, the last quarter of number 1. So that's how you do it, and then you have number 1 under your belt, and meanwhile you've already learnt numbers 3, 4 and 2, or if you want to do it 3, 2 and 4 in that order instead. So that's it, and that is certainly the only way to do it, in my opinion, in my much thought about opinion about these impromptus. Okay, so with that said, I will also say that it does make it quite useful to begin an impromptu and then end it, because it's quite satisfying. So because you're doing it, I'll be talking about number 1, doing it with number 1 actually, obviously, because that's the one you're working on while you're doing number 4, number 3, number 4, number 2, or number 3, number 2, number 4 if you're doing it that way around. So this should be your first one. After you've done by the time you've done the whole of number 3, which is the easiest one, in G flat major, you hopefully will have done what I'm going to show you now. It's a nice little loop you can do. It's the beginning. It's the first 2 pages, probably 2.5 pages actually, and then the end, the very end of it. Okay, all looped together. So yeah, so this is what you will have done, be able to do by the time you've reached the end of the first impromptu, which is number 3, which is the easiest one. You'll also be able to do the following. Okay, and then when you're ready and you're going to your next impromptu, number 4, in my opinion is best, or number 2, then you can do the next section, which would be these first 2 pages, or 2.5 pages, plus whatever gets you, I think, to the middle, of the impromptu, more or less, plus the ending bit, which you're going to loop around. That'll be how much you'll have the first one after you've done the whole of your second impromptu, number 4, or number 2, and so on, like I've been talking about. So watch this, and hopefully this will help you. I haven't yet learnt it completely, but this is basically what it should sound like, and it contains, I think, the kernel of the whole thing. It's got basically, I mean, you'll see with the arpeggios on the left hand, I don't carry on with them and put them, because they go into the right hand, I think, don't they? Yeah, they go into the right hand, and even actually, yeah, the right hand starts doing octaves, while the left hands have got these it's triplets, excuse me, not arpeggios, triplets in the left hand. The right hand then starts doing octaves, but I think you don't even need to do that yet, because even that's a little bit too much perhaps for now, and you just go straight on to the beautiful bit, and then from the beautiful bit you go straight to the end. So I have actually learnt a bit more of this, so I know how those octave passages go, and the bit where it's then the right hand that does the triplets, and the left hand does the melody and then the octaves. I've done all that, but this is what I recommend for a suitable first loop to do whilst you're doing your first impromptu, which will be number 3. So here we go. Enjoy. If I can get this thing to work. Okay, so here we go. So it'll be like this. Yeah, so sorry, lots of mistakes I had because I haven't practiced that for a long time. But that's the idea. Then I've actually got the second one because I haven't finished that first one. I haven't finished the second one yet, so I'll just do what it makes a nice loop for the second one now, which will be whilst you're doing your second impromptu in total, whether that's number 4 like I recommend or number 2. Okay, so if you're doing number 2, it wouldn't work. So this is the number 2 if you're doing the number 4 as your second impromptu. Okay. And then I'll do a video of a nice loop for the 4th impromptu if you've decided to do the second one as your second impromptu. So learn it. So okay, here we go. I have also learnt more of this second one, but this makes a nice loop as well, like that first one does. Sorry it was played so badly, I forgot it all. Here we go. Here's the second one. Go. Ah. Okay, let me just find it. Sorry, that was wrong. Oops, so it's this. Sorry, it's this. Yeah. So this. Oh yeah, okay, so I marked that up as well. So that's basically the shortened version, which you could do for the number 2 if you're doing the 4th impromptu as your second. Okay, now here, if you're doing your 4th impromptu as your 2nd impromptu in total after your number 3, then this is what I recommend for the shortened version of the number 4. Here we go. Stupid camera, isn't it? Anyway, bad workman always blames his tools. So you can do this for this one. Yeah, something like that anyway. I'll mark that one up as well. So yeah, those are the shortened versions I would recommend that you do, just to give you an idea of how the whole thing might sound when you eventually do all 4 of them. And those shortened versions, as you're doing number 3 first, and then I would say number 4 for a second, and then number 2, and then finishing off with the last section of number 1, and then you've got the whole of number 1 as well, because you will have been gradually doing each of the quarters of number 1 as you do each of the first 3 impromptus. Yeah, those things I've just played are just things to help you see how it all sounds like, basically. But the whole point is you're going to do the number 1 in sections of, you're going to cut it up into quarters, so you've got 4 sections. Then you do the first bit after you doing while you're doing number 3. You do the second quarter as you're doing number 4, or number 2 if you want to, and then as you're doing number 2 or number 4 if you decided that way around, you're doing the third quarter, which will leave, you have done the first 3 impromptus. Now you'll only have the last quarter of the first impromptu to do, and in that way you're completing the first impromptu and you've done the other three impromptus. I think it's the only way to learn these, and I hope that this helps you. Thank you very much. I'll see you next time.